Hello everyone, my name's Steve and I work as an engineer in the automotive industry. So what that means is I get to play with some really cool cars that won't even be on the road for a number of years yet, because some cars take ages to develop and improve and make better, faster, quieter, more comfortable. And that's what I do. So I have my own engineering company, and because I go and work with lots of different clients, I get to see lots of different cars, different pieces of trim, pieces of engine, seats, electronics. So there's lots and lots of really cool and interesting things that I get to be involved in. When I left school, I knew that I wanted to be an engineer. Now, my dad was an engineer. He was a press tool maker. What that means is he made tools that could take a piece of sheet metal, a huge flat sheet piece of metal, and press it into a shape like a wheelbarrow or a kitchen sink or a car door. And I thought that was really cool. My granddad, he was also an engineer, and he made rifles for a gun manufacturer in the West Midlands. So I grew up in the West Midlands, and it's an area where there's lots and lots of engineering companies, and I just knew that I wanted to be an engineer. When I was growing up as a small boy, I used to play with Lego and Meccano, and I always loved building things like cranes and ships and cars and things that could work, things that had some degree of engineering to it. And the other thing I really loved doing as a child was taking things apart to see exactly how they worked. I had a bit of a problem with this though. Well, I didn't. My mum and dad did, because I couldn't always put them back together again. But I managed to learn quite a lot about how things worked, and that really helped my career in engineering, because we're curious people. We like to figure out how things work. We like to solve problems, and that's the sort of skills that engineers have. Problem solving, it's what we do all day. But we also need to work together in teams or small groups or even huge groups. So there's lots and lots of communication. So those skills, the problem solving, the communication and the teamwork, they're all skills that we learn to develop and improve as we get older, as we use them more. So it's not like a subject at school, it's just something that we learn to be good at. There's a real shortage of people working in STEM, particularly in the UK. So science, technology, engineering, mathematics. If you're good at those things, or even if you have a really keen interest in those things, then those subjects can lead to a very rewarding career. And I've been in engineering for a very long time now, much longer than probably you are in years. So if any of you are 10 years or 15 years, I've been in engineering much longer than that. And it's a rewarding career. It's challenging. We all have problems to solve, and some of them are quite difficult. Some take longer, but they'll always involve a degree of skill, teamwork, and good knowledge of engineering and maths and science. But the rewards are there. The career is fascinating. The career will take you wherever you want it to go. I'm quite fortunate as an engineer. I have my own company, but for most of the time, really, that means just me. It may mean just me and just a few other engineers working together to solve a problem. But because I go into other clients, other companies who employ engineers, the size of those companies can be huge. They might have hundreds of engineers, but they just need a particular bit of help from people like me, because I'm a specialist and I specialise in quality. I like things to be as good as they can be. I like things to work perfectly. It's the detail that I'm interested in. I don't want a quick fix, a quick solution to everything. I want a solution that is a good solution, the best solution. And this is what I'm known for, and this is what my company provides. There are different routes into engineering. I was very fortunate. I took an apprenticeship at a local company. This company employed about 2,000 people, and at any one time there was 100 apprentices out of those 200. So we were quite a good proportion of the workforce. Now, my apprenticeship lasted for 5 whole years. My first year was spent full-time at college, where I was learning lots of different skills about engineering to gain a broad but basic qualification. But my next 4 years were spent back in my company, where I was working alongside lots and lots of engineers, technicians, scientists, assembly people, designers, production people, people who know how to build things. And each of these people were spending their time with me, helping me learn. And that's what an apprenticeship is all about. It's learning skills. Now, that finished on my 21st birthday. Happy birthday to Steve. That was my present. I became an engineer on that day. I earned a higher national certificate in mechanical and production engineering. So that took me 5 years to earn that. Bearing in mind 1 year was full-time at college, and I also had to go to college for 1 day out of every week, and also 1 night. So can you imagine doing maths and science at 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock on a night? Because that's what I had to do. But it was very rewarding. My top tips for getting into work. First thing, do your very best at school. You only have one chance to do your exams and to do well. When you leave school, there's no going back. We can try and catch up later and redo some qualifications maybe, but it's so much easier and straightforward if you do it right at school. So all anybody would ask you to do is be the best that you can at school. Some other tips, I think, is to look in the local newspaper, or nowadays look online. There's lots and lots of jobs advertised. Now, some of these jobs call for experience. In other words, they want people who've done that job for some time, so they know already how to do the job. But there are lots of jobs that also call for no experience necessary. Now, that means even if you have no experience, but you have the right attitude, in other words, you want to work and work hard and be prepared to learn, then that's a good entry into any company. It's all about your attitude. How do I feel about work? Will I be able to get up every day, early morning, and go to work hard all day? Because the people who succeed in their job are prepared to work hard, and always want to learn new things. As an engineer, there are always opportunities for development. But what we also do, we're always learning, particularly about technology. Technology these days is changing so quickly. What we have to do as engineers and technicians and scientists is learn about these new things, learn about new technology. It doesn't stop when we leave school, or it doesn't stop when we've finished our apprenticeship. We are always learning, and we're expected to learn. We're expected to keep our knowledge up to date. So bear that in mind, because it is quite difficult, but it's something we have to be prepared to do. The challenges in my sector, which is the automotive world, is that the governments have decreed that by 2035, that's 15 years from when I'm talking to you now, there will be no sale of petrol or diesel cars on the road anymore, a complete ban. And that will include hybrid cars. Hybrid cars usually have an electric motor running alongside a petrol or a diesel engine. So the government have said this, and not just our government, but lots of governments around the world. And this is because petrol and diesel engines cause damage to our environment. We're burning fossil fuels, that's petrol and diesel, and we're burning those, and they emit harmful particulates If you breathe deeply near any car with an exhaust, you can see the fumes coming out, and they damage our lungs. They make us cough or sneeze or wheeze, and they're damaging the planet. So government are taking action for us to stop this. So the biggest challenge in my industry is for all the car makers to come up with alternative ways of powering their vehicles. And that really means at the moment battery power. So there's lots and lots of electric vehicles. They're powered by batteries, and they have to be better and better. So every year there will be some progress made. These cars will travel further and faster for each charge that they take. And part of the problem in the country is that we need to have enough places for these to be charged up. And that's quite difficult, but it's down to the government to make this happen. And this is perhaps the biggest challenge that we face in our industry today. So the sort of skills and qualifications you might need at school, we've already talked about problem solving and teamwork and communication, and they're skills that we learn. But subjects, you'd certainly need maths, you'd certainly need English. But they're compulsory things, they're things that you have to take. But design technology is a really, really useful subject if you want to be a scientist or an engineer or a designer or work in the industry that I do. So those subjects really are key to becoming a good engineer. So that's about it from me. Have a good think about what it is you want to do when you leave school. Many people, 13, 14, 15 years old, really don't know. Some do. I knew when I was probably 7 years old that I wanted to be an engineer, even though I had no idea what an engineer did or no idea what an engineer was, apart from what my granddad and my dad could tell me. But there's a much, much wider world out there for engineers, scientists, technicians. But just think about what it is you want to do. But think about what you enjoy doing. Because if you enjoy something, your job really isn't work, it's more of a hobby.